A lot of people have been asking us questions about what's coming in the next release, what's the plans for the future, and a whole series of other questions to do with EQUELLA. And we're really pleased to see there's been lots of positive discussions already. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Wilkinson. I'm actually the Director of Product Management, so I look after the roadmap, I chair the Product Development Committee, and I, amongst other things, guide and direct and talk to people about the direction that the product needs to go and formulate that. And Twitter, please follow me. So what we're going to do today is we'll talk about the strategic themes. And so last year we released a document that was a vision document that was really just a list of things that we were doing in the release. It was a first cut at that, and it was more about features. It was more about features and functionality. What we're doing now is we're now starting to go and develop themes around the development. So the 6.x or the 6.x series, there are themes that we're going to be building and developing our roadmap against. And I'd like to present those themes to you today and talk about some of the things that we're doing. And I'm going to be mentioning some of the projects that are associated with those themes. And as part of this session, it actually goes for 2 hours, so I won't be too upset if you stand up at any point. Or we're going to be going over. We're demonstrating everything that's actually in 6.0, as well as some features in 5.2. Is within as you all know, we have 2 releases coming out every year, April, November, and since we met last time, lots happened, and there's been a lot of activity on our roadmap. Some of you have seen 5.2, some of you have installed 5.2. In fact, who's on 5.2? So if I get lost, you can help me. And 6.0, we're going to be giving we're going to be presenting some of the things there. Also going to talk about proposed direction 6.1. So we've got some themes that we're building out there and some ideas around where we're heading. So, and at the end, of course, the obligatory question session, and we'll be going through that. So, without further ado, the first thing that we're looking at in terms of with EQUELLA is access. And so the application must be able to be used by a broader audience. And so we've sought to make it compliant against accessibility standards. One of the big things in Pearson is to ensure that the disabled and visually impaired can actually use our application. And we're looking to comply against the AA accessibility standard. We also have our own Pearson accessibility guidelines, which we're adhering to as well. Then we've also talked about, and Matthew mentioned this earlier in the opening, that talk about handling large loads with EQUELLA. So integrating with a lot of the existing systems that exist within Pearson that have enormously large scale usage. And so the second thing, we've been working on a project to actually increase the ability for EQUELLA to handle load. Third one is leverage, which you're going to hear a lot about today. And we want to be able to leverage content within the platform. And there's been some discussions and some Twitter things going on about how is this going to happen. And today you're going to see some of that, a demonstration of a project that we call the content exchange. And so we're starting to see, the plan is not to just build a content system, but to build the content ecosystem where content can be shared and distributed amongst various EQUELLA platforms. Then we're going to continue to improve the core of the application as well too. So bug fixes, stability, improvements along the lines of the things that you've been asking us through forums and through the support desk as well too. Along with the improvements in our scaling of the application, we're going to see improvements in the performance of the application. We're going to be spending a lot more time hardening the application as well too, as Adam will talk about. We want to reduce the technical overhead. Who has ever launched the admin console and it crashed? Put your hand up. Okay, so that's quite a few. Who doesn't know what the admin console is? Who doesn't care? It's okay. Matthew, put your hand up. Okay, so effectively, beyond 6.1, you won't have to care about the admin console because it's going. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to remove the technical overhead of the application. We're trying to remove Java off the client side, so off the desktop, so that a lot of the reliance on the different versions of Java on desktop, it's gone. So we're trying to remove some of that legacy technology that the application was built around. When it was built, we didn't have all the type of widgets that we have now on the web. We're going to be redesigning the admin section of the application, using a lot of Ajax, drag and drop, all the sort of lovely things that you'd like to see in a nice Web 2.0 application. So that's interesting. I'll give it to apply in the seats. We're also continuing to extend our application. So obviously we're going to improve our integrations, and we've done a lot of work with Moodle team. We've got a very strong relationship with Martin Diagiamis and Moodle headquarters. We're also continuing to improve our integrations on all our platforms. Blackboard, we're also looking at improving our integrations on Learning Studio and a whole series of other LMSs. So looking at an integration with, who uses Echo 360 here? We are working on an integration with them, and we'll be talking about that in the future. In the future. We can't give you any technical details, but we can confirm that we are working with them. We can't give you dates as well. That's okay. It's like keep you interested in. And then the last theme that we're looking at is improving the standards around our application. And we've done a lot of work particularly with things like our Kaltura integration, plugging holes in the ability to support streaming media. We're now looking at the whole assessment area. QTI is a big part of that, on the cartridge. And you'll hear that we've actually started down the path of LTI support, and we're actually now compliant as an LTI provider, so we can actually push links into applications that support LTI, and they can consume them. And there'll be a demonstration on that as well. And also SCORM tracking. Who's interested in SCORM tracking? Just okay, 10%. That's okay. Probably all from the same institution, no? Different institutions. That's fair enough. And so we some time ago, Pearson acquired a company called iCodia, which has the ability to do some fairly sophisticated SCORM tracking capabilities. We're going to be doing an integration with that product, and that's going to be very much part of the 6.x roadmap. It's not coming out in 6.0, but it will be in a release after that, possibly 6.1. So what I want to talk about now is some of these projects. I've got this little guy named Alistair, and he's over there. He's just wanting to produce some content, wanting to access some content for his students. And there's two ways of going about this. You can go and purchase it, use it, or you can develop yourself. He's which he wants to develop it himself. Obviously the content that he develops is owned by the institution. And so, got some ideas around what sort of things that need to go into that piece of content. And that obviously goes into the best learning content management system in the world, called EQUELLA. So I say, tweet that if you like. And we've now got the ability to create what we call a store, which we can push this content into. There's going to be a demonstration of this today, and that store contains those objects, and they're stored in there. Along comes Michaela, working for a different institution who wants to purchase that content, has cash, wants to purchase. Fantastic. And passes the content, passes the money's disappeared, I'm not sure where it's gone. Maybe some insider. I don't know. There's some dodgy transaction fee going on there. I'm not sure. But she's purchased the content. Maybe she's got a receipt. I'm not sure. Oh, there's the money. Okay, the money's fine. Well, that's good. Okay. So then Al, who represents the institution, takes that, and they've been able to sell that content. So that's fundamentally the principle. And then, of course, Michaela comes back later and has her content that she's purchased from Al. Al's now very popular with the money people in the university because he's produced some extra funding there. And that goes into their EQUELLA. And then from there, that's distributed as a normal object to the student population. That's content, that's leverage, that's our thing, leverage. It's a project called EQUELLA Content Exchange. And what we want to do is that's happening at a micro level. What we want to do, and I actually intentionally chose the map of Australia because we normally have maps of the US and Dan, my friend and boss, also loves to put the US in there. And I wanted to include Tasmania. I got left out in the Commonwealth Games, so we'll include it in this. And so we're wanting to do this not on a micro scale, but on a macro scale. So these interactions can happen not only within each of the different states or institutions, but also amongst other EQUELLAs. And this design and some of these discussions have come out of some case studies that we've been analysing over the years, and discussions with people like George Lutsanos from Monash, and I don't want to go right through all the rest of them. But a large TAFE institution might want to sell content that they've produced and it's tagged against the industry standards that other institutions can use. And so that may be a first use case for this particular functionality that you're about to see. Educational institution has limited resources. They want content for free. Matthew and Dan talked about the Content Without Borders project, and the Content Without Borders project flows into this project. So that's all of the Pearson free content that we're providing to our clients. And then at a large university level, you might have content that you want to share or freely available or subscription-based content to a group of universities or consortium of universities. So trusted institutions. But then we can go more at a lower level where we have a particular medical school. I just chose medical school at random, George, just something random. But where we can talk about developing particular consortia of universities around something like medical content. There might be archives content and all sorts of different things there. It's all, the human body hasn't changed over a long period of time, so it should all be reasonably similar content, so they can set that consortium deal up. And also content providers, people that want to sell content across the application or make it available free, they can load it into EQUELLA and push that out through our content exchange to other people within the Pearson EQUELLA ecosystem. So you've got to have EQUELLA for this to work, by the way. And so I'm sure, most of them work well. So this will work for you. The next part is talking about the big scale of EQUELLA. So there's a lot of talk around providing a solution that is large, scalable, able to handle millions of accesses, users, large amounts of what we call internet scale. So there's a project, we call it Big EQUELLA, and internally we call it BEQUELLA, which I think is awful. So if someone comes up and talks about BEQUELLA, that's what it is. And so we're starting to see the results of that. We've identified some issues internally in the application that we're improving around our indexing and a few other things there. And you'll see improvements in your local install EQUELLA as a result of this project. And as I said earlier, we're going to be compliant against W3C. It's important to us to ensure that EQUELLA is a product that not only conforms to these standards, but it's important from us from his perspective that we look after those who are in some ways less fortunate than ourselves, and also right to left support. So if you speak Arabic, no one speaks Arabic, okay. we'll be able to support that as well too. So we're looking at expanding. You can see that this is a project we call EQUELLA for everyone. So we can have blind people, people that have different language support systems. Then also continuing to extend our application. Last year I put up a diagram, and that diagram had a big circle in the middle and it had REST services around it, and it had a whole bunch of different things. Can everyone remember that diagram? Oh, one person, that's great. Everybody hit, but 1% hit. I'll put it up again later just to sort of refresh your memory. And the whole idea was that we were going to continue to build, a services layer around the application, and that services layer was going to provide us with opportunities to integrate with other applications. And in this case, what we've done is we've built that, and we've also, on top of that, built a mobile application. And I also raised the question last year around what's everybody doing with their mobile applications, and everyone sort of looked at me. So we've now got an application that we're going to give you. And in version 6.0, you'll be getting the code, you'll get the application, and you can start to think about what your strategy going forward needs to be in terms of mobile. So we've kick-started the process, which I hope is useful to you. It also provides us with the ability to integrate more effectively with other LMSs. You'll see a demonstration a little bit later about something that we've done with a popular system using the REST services and these REST services that we've developed as part of our ongoing commitment to improve our integrations. Oops, maybe not. What I might do now is introduce Adam Croser, and Adam's been with our company since March, and he's a great guy. I've enjoyed really working with him. Now it's his last day of his probation period today, so not that we're putting any pressure on him at all. So if he mucks this up, you might not meet him again, but it's an absolute delight to work with this guy. He's a fabulous bloke. So
yes, thank you, Simon.
And I'll sit down now.
It's good fun working with Simon.
Thanks, Mark.
We work as a very supportive team together. But yes, what he says is true. Today's my last day. Yes, there we go. So we're going to have a look at the product now. This is a team effort. Joining me is going to be Cath Fitzgerald, one of our product managers, and Nick Reed, our software architect. I'm scanning the crowd. So what are we going to show you? We're going to show you some features from the EQUELLA 6 and also from 5.2. Show you the new mobile app that Simon's just mentioned, the content exchange, then a whole bunch of features that fit under these three broad headings: integrations, search improvements, and UI improvements. Okay, the first one, the mobile app. We've built a new mobile app which runs on an iPad and Android tablets. What is its purpose? It's a read-only dashboard for contributors. But it also, as Simon just said, is an excellent demonstration of REST API usage. We give you the source code, it's written in HTML5 JavaScript, very easy to read. You can see all the calls into the REST API later. Now I'm going to have to unplug this projector and plug it into my iPad, so just give me a moment. It takes about 10 seconds for the projector to realise what's happened to it.
The internet is a little bit slow, so try not to stream YouTube during the discussions.
Actually, just to be safe, I'm going to do this over 3G. So.
Okay, well, at least we got that.
That means I'm relying on text messages. Okay, so you launch the app, you'll get a splash screen. Those with good eyesight can see the speed on the top left. It takes me straight into a list of resources, still loading through 3G, that I've contributed. So these are the ones that I've uploaded. And I've lost my connection, so I'll demonstrate how I can log in.
While he's doing that, who has a need for, or who's thought about mobile applications as part of their
Thank you. Good fill.
Thank you.
All right. So here I'm using my finger to slide it down. Oops, tapped on one of these already. Jump back. Might explain what I'm looking at here. I've got a scrollable list of resources that I've put in one list. Right, nice scroll. I might explain the features of the screen from the top. Up the top, I've got a search box. This will let me search on the server through REST API calls for my content. I can scroll up and down. I've got a whole bunch of content. You can use the pager, page through. Down the bottom is a tabbed application. So currently I've selected my resources tabs. My resources. I'll also flick over shortly and show you the notifications as well. Connection is fast enough. I'll attempt to search for one of my resources. Yep. This is a sand crab resource. So if I tap on one of these, it will take me off initially to the summary. The summary includes the title, the description, and links to the files that are included in the bundle. If I tap on one of the files that are included in the bundle, it takes you off and lets you see it. Zoom around, pan, not a scary one. Up in the top right, there's an open and a new window. So if this was, say, a website, not a single image, I'm opening that up in a browser and then go off and use the whole website. And I tap the back button that's up in the top left-hand corner. Okay, so and that gives me the overall summary. If I had these files in various folders, you'd see the folder structure there as well. If I flip over to the moderation tab, if I've got a custom workflow, this will show me diagrammatically what that custom workflow is and what step I'm currently up to. And it's showing me a log of all the workflow status changes. So I can see what's the history, the work that's been done. If I'm also using the push to LMS feature, and this particular resource has been pushed into an LMS, as in this case it's been put into Moodle, I can see the courses and the places where this has been used. Okay. Now switching over to the notifications view, these are a list of open notifications that have been sent to me. Or, I'll change it over to tasks, it's a list of tasks that have been assigned to me. If I tap on any one of these, this will take me over into a full EQUELLA where I can then access and respond to those notifications for all those tasks. Take us back to the initial view with a list of resources. So this is how it looks like on an iPad. We've made it in such a way that it will take on the look of an iPad when it's running on an iPad. When you're running it on an Android, it will look like a native Android app. Switch that in, this is how it looks. Kind of similar, but the tabs that were down the bottom for resources and notifications, they've now moved up the top and has a slightly different look. Also saw someone running for the first time on a BlackBerry yesterday, BlackBerry tablet, and took on, as we hoped, but we only tested it for the first time yesterday, took on the look of the BlackBerry as well. So as I said, you get this, it all works, and get the source code, so you can go in and see how we've done it, what REST API calls we've done. I'm going to disconnect this and go back to account. I think it's a bit faster. Okay. Alright, on to the next one, content exchange, the big one that So an EQUELLA 6 instance can be configured as a store, storefront, or both. So an instance configured as a store will let you exchange content to an instance of EQUELLA that's running a configuration as a storefront. The key features are that we've got three pricing models. You can exchange content as an outright purchase, as a subscription, or it can be made freely available to your choice. And you can choose that per content. The content and any following updates are automatically harvested. So it simplifies the whole process between the storefront and the store. So in EQUELLA as a store, you've got your digital content that you wish to exchange. You can group that into your own custom catalogues. You can assign pricing using your own custom pricing tiers. And if you wish, you can set up your own custom sales privileges to form restrictions on where it's going to be exchanged to. If you set up storefront functionality in your EQUELLA, then you'll get what you'd think of when you're doing e-commerce. You get a search and browse functionality and you add it to a shopping cart and you can purchase from there. We make use of third-party gateways, and in EQUELLA 6 we've included Google Wallet and PayPal. We expect to have more in the future. And these are the secure transactions, the currency conversion, and the receipting. So that handles all the financials. No credit card details, no financial details going into EQUELLA at all. They're all handled through these third parties. Okay, now I'm going to invite Cath up onto stage. We're going to take a look. You also got some access to service. We've lost connectivity here as well.
We'll tap dance.
Well, you might need.
Hi everyone. I'm going to expand on Adam's description of the content exchange by running through a couple of scenarios that will illustrate the user experience for users on an EQUELLA instance set up as a storefront. So the first example will be being able to access free content using the content without borders. So we now have a shop button showing in our navigation menu. When we click on that, it takes us to the stores page. And this will show us any stores that we're registered to, and they are other EQUELLA instances that are set up as stores. In this case, we have our content without borders. And if we go into that, it will show us all the catalogues that belong to that store. We can go into one of those catalogues and it will show us all the resources that belong to that catalogue. When we pick one of those resources, it will allow us to add that resource to a shopping cart. If we go into the shopping cart, it will show us all the things we've added. And because these items are set up as free items, we can harvest them immediately. So if we click on download resources, that will go and harvest those and put them into a collection that you have selected for all your purchased items. When we were developing this, we realised that people that want to buy content and use content are often not the ones that pay for the content. So we had to think about it, and we've implemented a simple payment and approval rule function So you can go in and say, this group of people can create shopping carts, but they can't pay for them. And this group of people can approve for that group. And this group of people can approve and can pay for those that are approved by this group. So, and you can set up the whole hierarchy of rules for that. I'm just going to log out now and log in as Fred Smith, who might be a lecturer. And I have him set up in my room that he can create a shopping cart and choose content. So in this example, I'm going to go into the EQUELLA Resource Centre and have a look at what's available in there. So we have a number of catalogues in here. I might be looking for some science content. So we come in here, we can see all the available resources. We can search for specific titles. And when I come in here, you can see that some of these attachments are links and some of them aren't. So when a store sets up its content, it can actually put preview attachments on that can be seen before the item is purchased. And so the items that you're actually purchasing are the ones that you can't access at this stage. This one's set up as an outright purchase, so we're going to pay for it and harvest it, and it will belong to the institution. I'm just going to add that to the cart. I might want to go and have a look in a different catalogue. To literature for this example, and pick a resource. And this one is set up as a subscription-based pricing model. So I can see my preview attachments. I can also pick the number of users I want to buy the subscription for. Now that is an option again at the store end. So I might want to buy 18 for 3 months. And the subscription start date defaults to the payment date. So as soon as it's paid for, it will get harvested. You can choose a different date for that. You might not need it until next term, so you could set the start date for the next term. I'm going to add that to my cart. And then I'm going to go back, and I can actually look in a different store if I want to, and add further items to my shopping cart. So I might put some really cool items. Select one of these. So you can see that this one has been set up as a subscription, but you don't have the number of users. So I'll click that one for 3 months. And you'll notice as well that this store has a different currency. So it might be a store where the EQUELLA instance is in a different country. And if I have a look at my shopping cart, it subtotals each store, and it can't give us a store total because we have multiple currencies. But you can see underneath each store, it gives you a subtotal. Now, at the bottom of the page, we have a submit button. Because this person can't pay for their own orders, we'll submit it. I'm going to log out and log in as somebody who's set as an approver. Put on Joe Blogs. Joe Blogs would have been notified that there was an order waiting for approval, and he comes in, clicks the shop button, and we now have a requires approval panel over to the right hand side for our order in it. So if we open up our order, you can see our order's in there, and we have an approve button. We also have a reject button. So if for some reason the person who is approving it doesn't want to approve it, they can add a comment and select the reject button, and it will send the order back to the person who created it. I'm going to approve it though, because I'm nice. Okay, and one last time I'm just going to log out and log in as someone who can pay for it. So again, the people that can pay for it would get a notification, and when they come in they go to the shop button and they will have a requires payment panel. They can open the order and they will have payment icons. We just have demonstration at the moment, but we support PayPal and we also support Google Checkout at this stage. Okay. So you would go ahead and make your payment for each store. When you hit the payment gateway icon, it will take you off to PayPal for you to complete the transaction. Excuse me, you can also reject the order at this stage too, so the people who have payment rights can also reject the order. I'm just going to log out one last time and go back to our lecturer, Fred Smith. I go into shop. Okay, there's a rejected order here. I'll just show you that you can follow orders from the comment, so it does have an order trail at the bottom. It tells you everything that's happened to this. You can see that when it was rejected, it makes you put a comment in and it shows it correct. And Fred Smith can go to My Resources, and we have a purchased link, and that will show us all the items, or will show him all the items that he's purchased.
What do you think? Okay.
That's off.
Yeah, more to show.
Very cool. Tweet that.
Okay, now invite Nikki to come to the stage and to demonstrate the rest of the functionality.
Simon, can we help you air conditioning?
Yeah, I'll go get out the doors for a start.
Okay, so I'll be showing a lot of the things that also came in 5.2 as well, since it has been a long time since the last navigation we've done those 2 releases. The first that you would have seen are the Moodle enhancements. Oh, and by the way, I'm also happy to take questions at any point. The Moodle enhancements would have been shown for those that attended Moodle. It includes the new repository API, which is now shipped with Moodle 4. We worked with Martin and Jenn, as Dan talked about this morning, to get those included in. And show this off. We did have the repository implementation before, but it wasn't very satisfactory. I don't know how many people have used it between Moodle 2 and 2.2, but the UI was very limited, didn't actually see any metadata. The searching was also very, very limited, and that's what we set out to really change. I'll turn on editing. And we'll pick somewhere down here that's empty. Now there is still the EQUELLA resource type. That's certainly not going anywhere. That's the standard EQUELLA module that's always been there. But now we can also add EQUELLA content from wherever you can access the repository, which which is quite a number of places. So in this case, we've added a new files container. And you see now we have the EQUELLA repository option. And we get a much more well-known EQUELLA UI rather than the original grid of icons that was there previously. You'll notice that it's also a lot skinnier. The filtering boxes that used to show on the right have been not removed but simply moved. So they're under these drop-downs now. So you still get all that same functionality you had before, or the native EQUELLA UI, which you didn't have before. You can search and you can also work on favourites as well. You cannot contribute in this interface at the moment, but that's something that we're going to have in the future. We're still constrained by certain limitations of that pop-up window size, and contribution wizards tend to be a bit wider than that. So. Now in this case, we can see down at the bottom here, see the cursor, that little icon in Moodle indicates that it really is an alias. It's a file reference, in fact, is the name for it. So we're linking through to EQUELLA, we're not copying it at this stage. There are times when we will have to look at copying in. It's not supported at the moment, but Moodle does require local copies of files for student assessments and stuff, where it does actually require them. So we will have to implement that, and again, that will be a Moodle report when that happens. Just to prove that it really is working. And it's looking and it's got a control. One of the other things that was added to Moodle in 2.3 was drag and drop uploads. I can show that here if we get the one upload the massive client present. So with Moodle added this ability to drag and drop in, which is really handy. It's very fast, I have to say. But it would be nice if we could get that content straight with EQUELLA. And this is one of the benefits of having an ex-Moodle developer now working on the team, is that he came forward and said, well, we can do that, that's fine. So now, with the block, we can turn on. The ability to intercept drag and drops. And I'll turn on both of these checkboxes so it's more visible as well. So now put it back down here, and we choose to upload one of these presentations again. We should get a prompt to contribute to EQUELLA or to create a file as necessary, or as previously. You can also choose not to prompt at all and force that drag and drop upload to always go into EQUELLA. And this requires no changes to the Moodle report. This is just straight up EQUELLA block that we install on there. It does a quick contribute, and for those who don't know what quick contribute is, that is where we've had it in our selection sessions for a long time. Where you can just take a file, upload it, and it straight away gets you back into the LMS. Now, it doesn't capture metadata at that point, of course, but that's where we expect people to use workflows and moderation to enhance that metadata around the LMS. The files are also deduplicated, so if somebody drag and drops 100 people drag and drop 100 of the same file, one version will show up in EQUELLA, and that will be the one that gets enhanced and reused. Probably shouldn't have let that contribute to EQUELLA there. So,
question on the drag and drop, intercept drag and drop. Where does it go?
So that's what the quick contribute does. In EQUELLA, you choose the collection that it should go to. And then once that's enabled, it'll always go to that collection. Now we would highly recommend people put workflow. Exactly. So you can enhance the files that you put into that collection, or you can go through that collection and move things into another collection.
When you say new, it's an institutional file.
Yep.
It's not based on
For the quick upload, it's just whichever collection has been chosen.
So if you use the quick upload into a collection, they'll
Now, Jackie, someone's just going to put a microphone on you.
If you use Quick Contribute to push it into a collection that already has a workflow, by not going through the contribution screens, how do you trigger the workflow? Can you set it up to trigger the workflow?
For any workflow that's associated with that collection,
it will automatically.
Straight into.
But will it be live on Moodle?
Will it be
live on Moodle? Like if you've got a workflow that stops something going to live, if someone contributes it straight into Moodle, does drag and drop in the middle, it'll be live and visible to anyone.
So we offer the option on workflows to make them live immediately as well as soon as they drop into that workflow, and that way they will be immediately accessible. But you may also want the other way. You may want to drag and drop and have it go through at least a short moderation process to ensure that it's suitable. And so the drag and drop requires 6.0 at this point because it uses new web services that have been developed. The repository API only requires 5.2 Q82, which was released a few months ago. So Captura, video streaming servers, for those who haven't seen it before. We allow you to search for a Captura and a Captura instance, I should say. Select videos from that and they become normal attachments to your own. We also let you upload videos to Captura, and again they automatically get selected. We choose a contribution wizard, and choose to add a resource. We've got a new option here for Captura. From here we get to choose to add or upload, and we'll just choose to add an existing one. Search for EQUELLA. And I mean, this is very similar to what you would have seen before with the YouTube control. Essentially that same interface. We get to pick a video or multiple videos, choose to add them. We get extra information here down the right hand side about the duration and reviews and the tags that it has. I'll list it on this internet connection. You can play the video. And we can also upload videos through the same process as you saw before. They just get attached as normal attachments, Captura attachments. Now, if I save this, those details that you saw before still show up on the summary page as well. So we've got that it was uploaded 6 months ago and the tags that came from it. In 5.2 we added the main Captura integration, and that was for the SaaS model of Captura. In 6.0 we've added the ability to point to your local Captura installations. Yes, you're not limited to one Captura installation, you can have as many as you like. Another thing we've also done as part of 6.0 is we've become an LTI provider. If I do a search here, you'll see, by the way, this is the PowerPoint that I drag and dropped uploaded before. It's proof that it's come through. I'm going to try to show an integration with Structure Canvas. Now, I've seen PBT do this twice. I've not tried it myself, but I guess it's good proof that LTI works, if it works. We developed LTI primarily as a way of allowing people to integrate with LMSs and so on, but we don't currently support bit-proof It's going to provide just another way of signing in and getting the content.
Go to the second course now. No, drop down courses and choose the middle one. Yeah. And then go to modules.
That makes more sense. So we're going to add a new item. Choose an external tool. I'm going to grab this item and log out to ensure that it's not there. The items. So prior to this morning, we did not have any integration in the structure. And we might still not. If I was PVT, I would
just try the first one and get the line. No, just go to the first one. At least you'll get the line.
So Moodle also supports LTI. We can add activity resource. Choose an external tool. Name. Launch URL is any EQUELLA URL. I've chosen the item summary here. It could be an attachment. It could be the tasks page. It could be a search. It could be anything. Say let's equal beta tool, save it into the course. Now this is also just the start of what we can do with LTI. We don't have selection of resources through LTI at the moment. That's certainly something we can go in the future. We're currently not passing back grades because we're not producing grades at the moment, but as Simon alluded to with coding integration in the future, and we will start having something used producing grades, so it makes sense for us to push that back through LTI as well, back through to the LMS. But at the moment it is this, it's a start, it's a provider that lets you log in. The other place of enhancements for 5.2 was push to LMS. So we originally did push to LMS in 5.1. And since then we had a number of enhancements. The first being the ability to manage external resources here. So we can choose from whichever connectors we've got set up. And we should be able to get a list of all the resources that have been pushed in all the courses at this point, and go through and edit them at this point as well. You'll also see the ability to show hidden courses in case you're setting up a course that's not available yet. We've got that same option when pushing a resource.
Is everybody aware of what push to LMS is?
Okay. So push to LMS is the inverse of what you've used before. So previously you've been in the LMS and you've said, I want to add an EQUELLA link. You go on the link and it goes to EQUELLA, you search through that, and then you pull it back into the LMS. In this method, you're starting with begin EQUELLA, and then you're choosing which LMS you want to push it to, and go in that direction. So in fact, I will push this item into, so we say that we want to add it to an external system. We get to choose whether we're adding a summary or the attachment or however many other attachments we want to add. And then we can go through and choose which courses and which sections we want to add to within the course. I think I added stuff to this one before, so I'll put that in general then. Here's also the option to show hidden courses, something that wasn't there in 5.1. My selection is just disappeared. So we can add this resource, which is the summary and the attachment, back into all the courses I selected, one of which should be a new course channel.
This works for Moodle and Blackboard.
Is there a way that features such as like basic
So at the moment, we don't have that open because there's a lot of complexities on each LMS in terms of even down to the terminology. So there, what I was saying, we show hidden clauses in Blackboard that would be unavailable. So we make those changes. And also, if there's extra features for an LMS, we would provide the settings for those in EQUELLA. So we don't really have that option at the moment to allow for that to be extended. But there's also the opportunities for us to make, say, general API calls that can then sort of shim can be implemented to push through whichever LMS you want from there. Yes, it's completed. 2 resources were published at 3 locations, and here we have them. So we should have the both. One should be the summary, and one should be the Euro. Just the summary and the Euro. Now the other part of push to LMS is the find users, where it's also just really that. Where we can look back through and say, right, do we know this item's being used? Previously, there was absolutely no idea. But now we can go in and say, right, this is being used in 2 different courses in 6 different sections. So you know that it's reasonably well used. And from here, we also can get further details from the LMS. So for Moodle, we can see the number of used enrollments instructors, whether it's visible or that sort of stuff. In Blackboard, the stats are different that we can get back. And it lets you, like here we can see when it was added, when it was last month. Following on in 5.2, we've also provided the ability to report over find users. So previously, that simply wasn't available, you couldn't do that. But now, through bird reporting, you can choose to add a new connector and search over, in this case, all those users, format it, analyze it to however you need. Does that answer your question? Push to LMS probably. In 5.2, we also had a lot of search improvements. And a lot of these, to be honest, they're driven by people expecting things to work like Google. They expect to be able to just type and things to just work. If we go to search, the first one you'll notice is autocomplete. So the ages are start showing up. Some more results. Sample content, you can see it starts auto-completing on the titles of items first. And again, this is sort of modeled on Google functionality, which does the same. It starts by providing auto-complete suggestions for other people to search for and for titles of items. Once we start getting into a query that doesn't match the title of an item, we start showing suggestions for words that have been contributed. So it's not even linked to a dictionary. So the only option here is over down track. If I start putting in S, then it starts saying, oh, I know that's Sam, and gives us that option. Again, very similar to the Google functionality, but it's something that people just expect to work. The autocomplete is available on the normal search page here. It's available on the dashboard. It's available in the hierarchy as well. It should be some resources. It should be pretty much available in every part of EQUELLA where you're searching over more items. Another place that we had to make our searching much more easy to use was through word stem. We sort of did this in the past, but we didn't do it very well. But now you can do searches for you can do a search for walk or walking or walks, and they will all find the same results. So it doesn't matter if you've used a plural or you've added a plural, it should still find it. This works on English, it also works on a number of other Latin languages. There's modules we can add for language from Southeast Asia as well, but I don't believe they're using that at this point. results. Another part that we've enhanced here was is the bin drop down. So previously this was just an enormous big drop down. It listed everything as collections followed by house, which is followed by repositories. It's made it very difficult to navigate if you have a lot of collections. By separating this down into 3 different columns, it makes it a lot easier to find what you're after. It also makes those headings a lot more visible as well. Some people couldn't tell the difference between what was a collection and what was a power search because the name was too similar, or it didn't say power search or advanced search in the name. Now by categorising them, it shows a lot more here. And from here we've also got the enhancements to power searches that came through. So previously, if you chose a power search, it would go through a completely new page. You would lose the query box up the top, you'd lose the filters, you'd lose your search results. We've now taken that and pulled all those controls in line, so they show directly whatever within. You can still access the query box, you can still access the sorting and filtering and continue to work on that. And we can search on this now, it comes back with no results. We still get the same query here with all the criteria that we've selected. Another, not directly the search interface, but another feature about it is SRU support for remote repositories. We had SRW before. It's a small difference between the two protocols that some services only support with SRU, so it's simply something we had to do.
Those search functionality actually happens through the integration as well too. We showed before as well. So do text, you do completion inside of the integration suite as well too.
Absolutely. All those features I just showed now with more integrations. And they're all in 5.2. As Simon talked about before, we've been working on accessibility of the product. We're WK 2.0 compliant, AA level. There's also a number of enhancements we've made for screen readers to work better. On the user profile, there's now the option to enter an accessibility mode, which it makes some small changes to the UI, typically not noticeable. Things like the highlights around the fields to provide the focus more easily. It can be difficult to see in this slide.
Is this on 6, by the way?
The accessibility works on 6, yes. It also changes drop downs to be, changes drop downs to be more compliant with screen readers because we found that our enhanced drop down UI wasn't compliant at the time. And one of our developers and testers, they've gone through the entire product and made sure every page worked for all the screen readers.
Right, so each individual user who needs this to accessibility has to go in and enable it?
At the moment, yes. There's no option to bulk turn it on. It can be done in the database, but yes, at the moment it defaults to off. And it can be turned on.
Can you turn it on by default or is that?
No, so that's what's missing. Yeah. If you want it on by default, that'd be something to just change in the database. The right to left support, as Simon also said, I'm going to demonstrate that today. That there are language packs coming with right to left support. Discoverability. Again, this is another 5.2 feature that we did. A lot of work went into making this more SEO compliant initially. So there were little things that we did, such as changing our HTML, making it more compliant, so that the search engines would say, yes, this is good, rank it higher. But we also made other changes in order to allow us to register with various other services like Google Scholar. So you can now choose to add meta fields, meta tags I should say, to either summary pages based on metadata that which is a requirement for getting into Google Scholar, for instance. We also produced a large document that's downloadable from the support site right now that provides information on how to go about making your EQUELLA more discoverable, publicly discoverable, including how to set up Google Scholar. There's also a sample collection that does that, so we can be registered.
That's part of our commitment to sort of diversify the offering as well too, not just, and then as at the start, Jan showed you the usage of our product is across a number of areas, and so we're starting to implement and improve our functionality in the research area too as well. So we want to use EQUELLA in that space, and so that's an opportunity for
We also have key resources for dynamic hierarchies. So at the last Navigate, I remember I demonstrated the ability for hierarchies to be sort of virtualized out now based on metadata. But at that time, you couldn't add key resources to individual instances of those topics. We've now improved that in 5.2 to be able to have that. So you can now go to an individual instance and say, I want to add a key resource to this one, not to all of them, which is how it used to work. We also added a number of ways to add things to the hierarchy as key resources that make it a lot simpler rather than needing to go into the admin console. So from a hierarchy, just to keep those filters, we can now say that we want this to be a key resource. And straight away, it's done. There's no need to launch the admin console, there's no need to switch context with what we're doing. It's just immediately visible. You can also remove, of course, do the opposite. That's controlled by permissions, as is everything, all these features you've seen today. We can also add to the hierarchy directly from search results, which brings us to this screen, but we can also get to directly from an item. So in this case, we'll say we want to add it to audio and images. We'll save this. And this is the link over here, by the way, for getting to that same screen. And it should show up as key resource. There's also been some taxonomy improvements. So for people that are getting larger and larger taxonomies, certainly larger in number of terms and also larger in width of the terms. There's a lot of people trying to put entire curriculum trees within taxonomies, and they were coming across problems where the terms just weren't long enough. So the first thing we did was increase the term length to be 1,000 characters, which should be a lot better. We also developed this wider version. The old display has not gone, there is still that there, so we've still got the old version, which is the tree on the left and the details on the right. But for those that want or that have to display these taxonomies with wider terms, we provide this view as well. It just lets you use much more of the screen, but it works in very much the same way as the original taxonomy.
And we reduce the number of clicks, you don't have to go with the select, you just go select.
Sorry?
Can you show that? Where it's using
in this case, it has, because you don't, as compared to the other UI, you don't need to select on the left and then select on the right.
Oh,
yeah. So you skip it.
It's the word select. I'm sure it's select. It's just clicks now.
Just 2 seconds.
I noticed in 5.2, the word select is actually linked. It's a 6, which is not linked. It's still linked.
And these links are also available in the other UI view as well now, so you don't need to go to the right panel first and then select, you can just select directly from the tree.
What's the reason why the lowest level of the term, that was a link in the previous version? Now we have an icon, now we have the word select. Is there any reason why we have to have that?
Because of the small hit targets of the pluses and minuses here, it was found it's just too difficult to click those to go out and out now. And so making this applicable that you want to expand?
At the lowest level there, for example, 1, right argument to support claims, couldn't that be?
Oh, so you can make that selectable? Yes, could be. I think in those cases where it was a single selection only, where it's going to close the dialogue immediately, it could be confusing if the dialogue disappears, but certainly that's an option. Yeah.
Do you think that's an improvement?
I think generally what we're seeing in taxonomy 5.2 is improved, less case. What we don't like is the icon and the select. We much prefer the lowest level of term to the level. That creates a lot of clutter on a small screen.
And also for taxonomies, we had a number of sort of behind-the-scenes performance improvements for large taxonomies on that initial load, where it would greatly slow down in some cases. There's also a lot more of stuff that's gone into 6.0 and 5.2. Support for multiple databases. I won't go into showing this. It's not even something that's necessarily applicable to a lot of people, but we can now have institutions across multiple databases, multiple schemes of databases. You can better separate those. Allows for easy backups and moving around migration of data as well.
Well, in fact, that is actually applicable for some of them. If you wanted to separate the databases within your, so you had a database for each institution, and you wanted to test reports, for example, on a different database server, you wanted to provide load on the production box, for example, you can do that. Oh, sorry. Nice to be here. Just a second, I'll just open it again. So what I was saying is, if you wanted to have a separate database for each of the different institutions, you could do that. It's probably advisable if you're running reports and testing reports on it. We've had incidents in the past where people have tested or run a report on a production system and it hasn't gone that well. So that is one positive about it, I believe.
Absolutely, and it was one of the key drivers behind the development of it as well, was the separation of various institutions for reporting purposes. It's all configured through the UI. Migrations are also now done after an upgrade. If you need to migrate, all done through the user interface. And so is the reporting connections as well. So you can separate a reporting connection to the database and a different connection and audit that separately to the rest of the application. REST and OAuth. There's been a lot of REST development in 5.2 and 6.0. Drivers for that were the mobile application that I haven't showed before, which is all driven by REST. The content exchange is also driven by REST entirely. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend coming to my web services thing. It's going to be exciting. And OAuth authentication sort of went hand in hand. And Adam didn't mean to demonstrate it, but he sort of did when the connection went down, where it's in the same. It's like you see in Facebook and Twitter, where you're adding an application and you're allowing that application access to your data. That's what OAuth provides us. EQUELLA, the internal name, which is the scale testing. So a lot of 6.0, we've done scale testing for both a number of documents, so we've been increasing and also for concurrency of users. Focused on the REST APIs, and also we've started focusing on the web UI now. It's an ongoing project. It's certainly not finished with 6.0, and the benefits of it we're definitely seeing float back into old versions as well. The 5.2 QA3 that will come out at some point this year will definitely have improvements in there for indexing and so on that we found real problems during this testing.
We sort of liken this to the Formula Ones, where you have all this wonderful technology that we're sort of building up here, but and all that information, all that use, and all the improvements will flow back into normal development. And hopefully, by the end of the process, everyone's driving Ferraris. So that's the intention. So we're trying to really ramp this thing up so that we can handle large scale usage, and I know there's been a lot of discussion around this. So hopefully, it nods. Trying to engage what you're thinking.
Along with, we've also had a number of performance improvements that we found not through skull testing, but through security auditing, reducing memory usage, web clustering, all sorts of stuff like that. There's many things. Bugs fixed. Bugs squashed. Good. And there's been many small improvements in 6.0 as well, and 5.2.
Just Jeff can come around the mic, put it on your nose, Sam.
I just had a question about the content exchange. It seems that when you can reject or approve the entire order, do they have the ability to say, okay, you can have this one, but not this one, rather than rejecting the entire thing and resubmit the order?
We made it be exactly like that, because we thought if someone's put together a whole bunch of content that they want to order, and then one thing gets pulled out of that, then you might actually want to go find something else and rejig the whole thing. So it unbalances the elections. That's why we do it that way. Sorry?
Just in addition to what Adam said, you can, if you have multiple stores within the order, you can reject one store and pay for another one, and then you can send the rejected one back.
In EQUELLA 5, we've changed the display of pages with multiple attachments, so you've got to actually click on the item to display the thumbnail. Have you fixed that in 6?
No, it still shows it that way. It shows the same thing.
Okay, so in order to get it to display all the thumbnails on a page, you'll have to get a custom display template from that.
Great.
Does the mobile app work with the 5.2 REST, and how soon can I get my hands on
it was 600, wasn't it? There were new REST services made specifically for the mobile app surrounding the find users and also the tasks and so on. So it's 6.9 at this point, and you can have it as soon as it's released. That's it.
Simon, when did you say 6 is due?
Do that? My microphone's not working. November?
Just an ETA.
November.
November.
November this year.
This year. Right, okay, so the next question is the subscription. You were saying you could subscribe to content with numbers, so if someone downloaded that content and you paid for 3 months for 19 folk, how does that monitor it? Or do you have to put that in the content? Does the content turn itself off?
Yeah. Adam, Cath, you got the template?
Yeah. Might just get it.
Sorry. Come on, Cath. Come on.
Cath and I are looking at each other. One of you wants to answer that one. It's not per users, it's per users, and at the moment it's on a trust basis. So because this is equivalent to we work with universities or organisations, so at the moment trust basis. Sorry, the subscription period is next to point out. That is fixed in, so that's so the subscription period is going to have an expiry date. Once that's expired, that resource becomes suspended and is no longer available.
So just on that, so when you buy the item, even if it's not active until 3 weeks from now, you can still embed. When you purchase an object and it's not subscribed yet, so the subscription period starts in say 3 weeks, you can still embed that object into your LMS. They just won't be able to access the attachment until. So you can't actually finish off your course until day 1 of your subscription period.
No, and that's why we made a default the payment date, so
So, and that's something that obviously needs to be worked on. So this is phase 1 of this work, and we can see a huge amount of potential. Once we get feedback on how it's going to work out, we'll see where it goes.
What's your general thoughts around the content exchange? Just before I grab another one from Sam. And next person asks a question. They've got a couple of thumbs up.
Will there be a way to provide Pearson content that is already accessibility prepared from your site, and then just plug straight into EQUELLA?
It doesn't necessarily have to be Pearson content.
No, but I mean, for Pearson published textbooks that we want to write chapter off to make it up.
Anyone else? Sam, sorry, Sam.
Thing with the mobile, you've got it so that it works on Android and iPad, and it shows differently on each. Is there an idea to be able to work out what, like you give them, essentially give people a mobile URL and it will just identify each of the different operating systems that they're coming from and show it? Or are you saying that they were meant to register the app with both app stores under your institution name, or how are you doing this?
So the application is just a web page. It's not an app that gets registered through the App Store, whether it's Apple or Google Play Store or anything like that. It's /mobile on the end of your EQUELLA URL. It detects the device that you're coming from, and then it's the library underneath that automatically says, okay, this is a BlackBerry playbook, I'll display as a playbook, it's not, and go from there.
When you demonstrated the drag and drop contribution, I just missed it for a second. Was that going through quick contribute or through full contribute?
Through quick contribute. So when it gets uploaded, when it gets dragged into Moodle, we don't see any UI. It gets pushed through the quick contribute system in EQUELLA.
But can it be forced instead to go through a full contribute?
In that case, you would just use the EQUELLA resource block. So I think that's the one limitation we can't have with the drag and drop, is we can't intercept what the user's doing and go into a full contribution window. I don't think we get the option to overtake the whole Moodle UI. I'll hand back to Simon.
Thank you. Just give me a second. Just remember all that. I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay. Okay. What I want to talk about now. Am I on? I probably don't need to be on. Am I on? Yes, I'm on. One of the things I want to talk about now is 6.1 roadmap. Now, some of the things that we saw in terms of the themes at the start that I presented were we developed these general roadmap themes, and then we took our feature requests and we took the general direction of we thought the product needed to go, and we matched it up against those. Some of the things got in, some of the things didn't. We've got a very talented development team, but we don't have unlimited resources. So obviously, when we're talking about putting things into the roadmap, certain things go in, certain things go out. You read the vision document, some of the things that we were hoping to put into 6.0 didn't quite get there, but they will be pushed into the next release. One of the things we found out yesterday, we had a customer advisory board, and one of the resounding things, just want to mention that was totally fabulous, and thanks to all to the members of that. Probably the best one I've been in actually, was the looking at reporting and improving our reporting functionality. And just as a quick indication, when we did talk about this in the CAP, just as a quick indication of all our trusted clients who would be interested in seeing more functionality around our reporting. Okay, fabulous. Okay, George, you're still on the CAP. That's okay. That's all right. So I think we've got that right. So One of the other things that we're going to look at is in 6.1 and future releases, we're going to continue to go along with the theme of scale. Obviously, the EQUELLA project is not a finished project. We want to continue to improve our performance, improve the ability to handle large scale, large load, and as I said before, we can improve that. That improves everybody's EQUELLA experience. Extensions, obviously, our bread and butter is the fact that we're LMS agnostic. We're wanting to build better integrations with all of our LMSs that we support. We're also looking to support other LMSs as well too. We're looking at Edmodo and some of these other LMSs that are emerging through the market space as well too. Also looking at doing an integration, and I've started a discussion with Mahara as an integration point as well too. And Mahara is also it's a LTI consumer, and in fact we have the ability to push content into Mahara now. We want to build a better integration with that. And so we're continuing to foster and develop our relationships with third parties. We've obviously got a very good relationship with Moodle. We're continuing to develop our relationships with Blackboard and a number of our other LMS vendors. So we're also going to continue with each release to make sure that the product adheres to the accessibility standards, and that we maintain that as part of what we do as part of the development process. One of the reasons also that we're looking at getting rid of the administration console is that in order to make that right to left compliant as well as screen readable, it's a difficult thing. So we're taking the opportunity to rework the entire administration section of the application. So when we look at version 6.1, hopefully you'll start to see that there'll be some change in there. And that goes along with the reduction of the technical debt within the application. Some of these themes overlap, as you're probably aware. One of the main focuses will be the implementation of standards within the next release. So 6.1, we've identified obviously reporting, as probably about 50% of the people in this room have indicated that's a good idea. But in terms of what we're looking at for 6.1, and I'm not going to give you a list of features, but the theme and the things that we want to start looking at is supporting the QTI assessments, that type of thing, storm tracking, common cartridge, LTI, those type of standards. And so we're starting to see EQUELLA being used as a not only just as an object repository, but as an assessment repository as well too. So that's the general direction that we're going. I'm not going to ruin my last session, which you've all got to go to, about feature requests. It's on there, I don't think it's been moved. We're going to talk about how it is that you can engage in our roadmap process. And through the surveys, we've identified the fact that we need to be more open and tell you about what's going on with our roadmap. And so we've started to work towards that. One of the other things that we're also wanting to do is we're wanting to include you in the development process. And in order to do that, we are going to be setting up a beta program. And I just want to introduce somebody to you, all the way from the US, all the way from Denver. Jennifer Seidenwurm, who lives over in Denver, is a product manager over there, and she's just going to talk to you about the beta program. Jennifer will be managing that the process. So I'd like to just call her up and welcome over. And if you don't understand her accent, I can translate.
As we've had discussions about beta and beta, so I call it beta. As you've heard several times today, one of the things we really want to improve on is the testing. And part of the improvement in testing will be our new changes to the beta program. So we're going to be running it concurrently with the release cycle, not at the very end where we don't have as much time to collect that feedback and really react and respond to it. So as soon as a feature is feature complete and has cleared the QA process, then we're going to be ready to have it going into our beta cycle. And one of the reasons we really want to bring this up now is that we have all of you here who've heard about these new features and hopefully are very excited about them. And we'd really like to recruit a lot of you into this process. So, you know, we know that it is a time commitment. There are, you know, it takes a while to look at some of these features and get used to them and give us your feedback. But if you feel like you do have the time to commit to this, to let us know your feedback and your responses, please let us know. We'll be sending out some information after the conference on how you can get a hold of us to participate in the beta program. And since you're already here, if you want to give me your contact information now, that'd be great, or you give it to Cath, and hope we can be talking to you soon about your feedback and the new features. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, so who's interested in the beta program? Yes. Yeah. Do you want to do? I'll just say just a few more things. The beta program you can sign up for. You can have hamburger with lot, fries, Coke, whatever you like, or you can just pick individual pieces out of it. We're going to be doing it in two halves actually. We're going to have, because the content exchange is a very large piece, we're going to have that as one particular thing that we're going to look at, and then all the other enhancements that Nick and Adam have demonstrated, and Cath that's actually Cath demonstrated the content exchange. So that's one bit, and all the other stuff is another bit. So you can choose what you want. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to engage more with you. We're trying to hear about the things that you want to see in the product. We're wanting to ensure that we have enough time to get back, as Jen's just said, to ensure that those the features that we've included can be improved or enhanced and so on. We're actually really ahead of time. I thought you'd actually slam me with questions and Nick, and so we sort of allowed a little bit more time to sort of make our getaway, but it seems that hasn't happened. What I might do is I might just finish that. Unless there's any other questions around the roadmap, I'm here. You can ask me questions. So, and I do want to eat something after this. So, if you've got a question, ask it now. You can have a huge lunch, even before a presentation. So, if you'd like to ask me a question, just go for it. I'm all ears.
I've got a question. I asked it at the last Navigate conference. I'd like to know, Simon, how are you progressing on making the HTML editor in EQUELLA as a more sophisticated tool that has consistent style? Because otherwise, academics cannot create HTML pages because every page falls to pieces in terms of style.
Yeah.
And that means that they have to know how to use Dreamweaver. And that's asking too much. So that's a weakness in EQUELLA.
Yeah, and that's been noted. That's in our discussion forums, and that's been discussed. One of the things that we're looking at doing, and I've got to say to you that it's not in the next release, so I do apologise. But one of the things that we're doing, and we are, and I want to sort of save this for my other presentation. I'll save the discussion then, but within our feature requests and people asking questions, and it's a great question around features, we want to make sure that we capture that, identify who those people are, report back to them. And what used to happen is that they'd come in from different angles. We get people reporting through. Some people bring my wife, and they'd come in from different, like salespeople. And so we've developed a system that you will get direct feedback from. So we've put that into the system that you'll see demonstrated in my next session, which is advertisements.
1:15 tomorrow.
1:15 tomorrow. All of you should be there. You can ask me questions about the process that we've put in. But I do take point. There's been a lot of people who've asked me, we've got this small bit of functionality, surely we can make it happen. Typically what happens is it's all about timing too. So if you ask me with 2 weeks to go before the release, that's not going to happen. But if you ask me with a long period, and there's got to be, and fundamentally too, the system that we're looking at is you can vote on it, you can show interest in it, provide feedback in that way. So hopefully we're going to improve our customer engagement. Any other questions? No, I haven't had any more children since last year. Still only got 5, so that's all fine. All right, I really thank you very much for your attendance. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you.